This conference will now be recorded.
Recording?
Yes,
Recording?
we are recording.
We can get everybody's attention, please. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mitch. It is 6 o'clock on February 10th, so I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time. Debbie, can I have the certification of quorum and the proof of notice, please?
Yep, we Liesl and Neil. And John is not here, correct? We have
Can't see him online.
and proof of notice was posted and e-blasted within the 48 hours.
Excellent. So the first item on the agenda then will be the approval of the past minutes. May I have a motion, please?
I motion.
Second?
I second.
Any discussion by the board? Any discussion by the audience? All right, may I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously, I guess, excluding John. Next item on the agenda is the management report. And for that, Debbie.
All right, so thank you. We had 3 homes closed in the month of January, 30 inquiries receiving customer service, 8 were escalated to on-site management. All issues were addressed. 73 work order information were opened. 379 violations were issued for the month of January. There was 26 parking violations out of those. We had 2 ARC meetings, January 7th and January 21st, with a total of 17 ARC applications were reviewed, 12 were approved, 1 was conditional, and 4 were denied. Leak Wizards was here on January 15th on site with Becker and Polikoff as part of the defect claim to do the detection on the lower pool at the Plaza Clubhouse. Lennar did send an inspector to come do watch the site inspection during that project. On the 16th, Central Florida Pools was on site to install the new cat controllers on all 3 pools in the hot tub. Spice Pools were here on the 17th to fix the whole repair at the bottom of the lower pool. On the 22nd, the Sunshine Tiki Huts were on site to replace the thatched roofs at the North Pool and the Tiki Hut. This project took 3 full days, was when completed by the end of the 24th. On the 23rd, JCK Electric was on site to replace the lamps at the top of the 3 light poles in the parking lot of the plaza. 2 were on the pool deck, and another one was over at the parking area, sorry. On the 23rd, NTEC was on site to replace 2 assistant machines that were down, 1 at the plaza and 1 at golf. On the 24th, Complete Power Pros was on site for generator preventative maintenance. And on the 31st, DO Construction was on site for the windscreen installation on the building. That is it for now.
Excellent. Alan?
Treasury report. Debbie, pull it up. Here. Let's see. I can see the screen, so that would.
Oh, it didn't do it for you. Here's the full meeting.
I'm saying. To the top.
And I know you have to look at this.
Right there.
There it is.
All right, got it. You go to page 2. All right, welcome everyone. It's going to sound a lot like the past several treasury reports, which is a good thing. Cash position is still strong. Again, just to orient, blue is prior year, orange is current year. So our operating cash on hand is a little over 1.1 million compared to just under 1.1 million in prior year. Our reserves at the end of December, 986,000. By the end of January now, that starts with a 1. Obviously, we've got some money coming out of that for our pump house repair, but that's a good thing to be in 6 figures, and we should end, barring any unforeseen issues, in 2025, starting with a 1. Fill reserves is slowly building up there. They'll be in the 100,000 range in 2025 as well. So again, a good, strong cash position to end the year. Next slide. To move. I gotta move my own. All right, so unaudited numbers. So obviously, we're just starting our audit with our third-party audit firm. So we're providing them documentation in the coming days. So any of these numbers are subject to change. I wouldn't expect them to be materially different, but you never know if they find something unique and unusual. But if you look at our revenue, up 7.1% year on year. The largest driver of that was, quote, driver, was golf swing revenue, just under 300,000, followed by the administration revenue, which is pretty much our closing sales on houses that we get, plus interest and delinquency fees for folks who don't pay on time but ultimately do pay. And then plaza and golf merchandise were both down compared to the prior year slightly. Golf merchandise, we know at the end of the prior year, we did a lot of incentives and to use the credit book to get people to buy. So we had a very slow January. We never really caught up from that. But we've done a refresh, 10th anniversary stuff. So hopefully golf merchandise will pick up as well. Compared to budget, up 1.8% versus budget. Admin revenue is the big driver of that. Again, home resales, delinquencies, et cetera. And then if you look at the plaza, the expired food credits decreased by about 78,000, which is good. More people are coming to the plaza and using their prepaid foods, whether they do it monthly or annual. When you take that out, basically the plaza sales are flat year over year for the true food and beverage sales, just shy of $1 million. And then the expense side, again, a good story. Overall, 3.2% favorable to budgets. With this, like I'll use golf as an example, we know there are some outstanding adjustments that will take place in some discussions with the auditors. So for example, we refreshed our rental clubs. A lot of the golf vendors give us very favorable terms. So we bought those clubs back September of last year. We don't have to pay for them until May. And we're gonna have a discussion of, do we accrue for those? Do we consider them fixed assets, et cetera? But right now, because the payment terms are extended, they're not reflected in our numbers. But overall, again, a good story at the bottom line. So we ended 2024 kind of where we expected to, but definitely favorable to budget. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks, Alan. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And these items are items that we approved as a board, and we are going to now ratify. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Discussion by the audience? Excellent. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Takes us to new business. The first item of new business is we sent a file to the Covenants Committee to find a homeowner who was allowing their identity to be used in golf by a non-resident without payment of any revenue to us, other than acting as if they were a member, so they would pay the $31 cart fee as opposed to the public rate. The Covenants Committee approved that fine and sent it back to us to consider a suspension, of which we are doing at this time. So at this point, do we have a motion to suspend this homeowner from golf privileges for a period of 90 days?
I motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion by the board?
Neil, is this our first golf suspension or?
No,
No, we have
Previous-
one previous,
Okay.
yes.
but it probably isn't gonna make a huge difference. She doesn't play golf anyway. Just,
It's probably not going to make a huge difference in this person's life because they do not play golf. However, it is going to send a message that we can't do this, all right? So we have to be cognizant of the fact, this is why we put the pictures in place. And if we go about how we found this particular individual, it's actually by another homeowner. They were playing golf together and the story kind of didn't make a lot of sense. And at that point, we reconciled it back, and Ben was having trouble getting the picture from this person. So we want to close what appears to be a loop in our system, which is we have two operating systems, the golf and up at the plaza. and we've been taking the pictures down at the plaza. This has taught us something, that maybe we're not taking the picture of the same person who is on our pictures up here at the plaza. So we will do that, well, Debbie's actually doing that reconciliation just to make sure. But that's a separate issue, but we learned from it. And now what we would like to do is send, I guess, the signal to the community that, this is our asset collectively. It is a revenue generator, and we need to deal with it with respect. And so I'm comfortable with the fact of the 90 days. Any discussion from the audience? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Excellent. The next item on the agenda is the ARC standard revision. This is something that we get asked to do by the ARC once a year.
Yep.
And we sent out the notice on January 27th, 2025. I'm going to hand this to Neil, who is our representative with ARC.
Okay, after discussions with the ARC, in terms of the revisions, it was agreed that we would put revisions in place for various aspects of the ARC standards currently in place. I don't plan to go through all of these. I'll just mention that, initially we wanted to clarify a definition of adjacent. Historically, the ARC has felt adjacent means properties next to each other. Well, actually, adjacent is anybody around your property altogether. So it can be a property that backs onto you, as well as the properties at the side. So we wanted to clarify that. So when they're making decisions about things being adjacent or approving changes which affect adjacent properties, they're actually looking at all properties around. We changed the clothesline standard in relation to the Florida statute 720. So there were some changes in Florida statute, which a number of these ARC changes relate to. That was one of them. Fences and walls, we changed that. You're probably aware, if you have a fence, one of the requirements or suggestions is to have a 6-inch barrier so that the machines which United use don't impact your fence. Well, it was a suggestion. It was never a requirement at the ARC, so we've kind of removed that, and it's down to the homeowner to decide whether they want to put that mulch barrier in or they put the fence on their property line. The garbage cans, 3.17, is specific to the villas. So we wanted to clarify where the villas can put their garbage cans. In fact, they can't put them in the front, they can't put them at the back, but the corner villas do have the opportunity, like any single family home, of putting them on the side of their property if they put landscape around them to hide them. So we wanted to clarify that in the ARC standards. Hurricane shutters, again, we wanted to be more specific on when a meteorological event was happening. Previously, it was just looking at Florida state government issuing a statement. We wanted to say that if the event, which is a tropical storm, hurricane, or warning has been issued by Champions Gate, Davenport, so we were more local here, so we could take action in terms of hurricane shutters and storm events. Prohibited species was another change. This was really just a rewrite to make it clearer what plants are prohibited because of various aspects like bearing fruit, etc. Another one which was specific to the villas was 3.31, which is to do with the villas' roofs. Now, obviously, there was a change in the governing documents with regard to villas' roofs and who was responsible for the repairs. This was really clarifying that within the ARC standards. 3.39 was a change to the holiday lighting and decorations. So this was a rewrite of when you can put your holiday decorations up, when you have to take them down. So it extended the period, particularly during the Christmas, New Year period, Thanksgiving, from the 15th of November through to the 14th of January, to give people that extra time to have their holiday decorations visible. 3.41 was around vegetable gardens. Again, this was a change due to Florida statute. Previously, we said vegetable gardens are totally prohibited. We weren't allowed to have that according to Florida statute, so we've kind of reworded it. So effectively, it has the same impact because we say vegetable gardens must not be visible from the front of the home, from an adjacent parcel, so that's anywhere around it, from a common area, from the golf course, unless it's hidden from view with a screen lanai. So effectively, we're not saying they're prohibited, you just can't be seen by anybody else around you. Window treatments, we wanted to change this to avoid the conflict that currently have with the standards, the ARC standards and the governing documents. And it's really around awnings. The governing document was not very clear. It was confusing in terms of the awnings. So we wanted to be clear that awnings are not permitted to be put in place in the community. And we have a new standard in 3.47, which actually clarifies that and now complies with the governing standards. And then the last bit was really just about renumbering the ARC standards so that they're now been refreshed with the changes that have been made or suggested. So I'd like to propose that the standards as presented today are accepted into the ARC standards going forward.
So moved.
Okay, second. Any questions?
There,
Mitch?
We're one of the 378 violators. Ticket. On our window, we have, for privacy, we have clear edging. It's not permanent. And just getting dinged on that.
You don't have to reinsert that SIM card, right?
So is this a question
Can you-
to
sorry,
the
can we-
standard revision, or is this because if it's a question, if it's not to that revision, can we hold that to the end?
and also the people online can't hear, so they need to speak into the microphone.
I don't like those people cutting my grass. They peek in your window, they look at you, and leaving the off the west side. So we got those people and the regular people. So I put all this on just one half of the window. And we got, you guys, we got a nasty grass. And this is what I got. And it fills right up. It's put on with water.
So I think we need to put that into the parking lot and deal with it at the end, because we're going to stick to the agenda when this particular item is the revisions. So then that's
Well, it does, I mean, it says window treatments facing the street. So the window treatments facing the street shall be of a neutral color. That looks like a neutral color.
But it says covered by material or items, C2.
Yeah. Windows may be not covered by material or items not specifically marketed or customarily considered window treatments. Yeah. So if that is not considered a Windows treatment,
It
that's
also
why.
says about garbage bags. I have a question. Thanks, Debbie.
Window treatment facing the street shall be
I have a white room, I want white room.
James, no, you can hear the
I can't hear.
statement. I can't hear myself.
can you speak closer to the?
Hold the mic a little closer. It says the window treatment facing the street should be a white color with tone. But the window treatments are inside the house. You have to get a break.
No, this doesn't relate to drapes.
Window treatments.
That's treating the windows, not putting curtains up.
I think the wording.
Window treatments or windows would be a drape or blind.
Can be a lot of things.
Right.
So window treatments, anything that enhances the window is.
Why don't we ask the board to have it back?
Yeah, well, the original wording, yeah,
Do that later, I'm gonna give him a call.
window treatment shall consist of drapery, blinds, decorative panels, or other window covering. No newspaper, aluminium foil, or temporary window treatments are permitted except for periods not exceeding 1 week after the homeowner or tenant first moves in, or when permanent window treatments are being cleaned or repaired. No security bars will be placed in the windows or any unit where visible from an exterior of the unit. So that was the original.
Basically,
So to answer your question, if you're inside of your window, your drape is red, and the outside facing the back of it is white, you're good to go.
yeah, but if it's
If the
red,
back of it is red, we have an issue.
I think they have a reflective film, like some people put up on the
He's talking
garage
about
door.
drape. He's asked about drape.
Oh, I didn't hear your question.
But I do have this.
So you have to get approval for your color grade to bring out white.
Yeah. No, no,
no, but most,
the drapes will have a white backing to them. Like, I mean, we're really in the
Folks,
rabbit
if
hole.
we could please stay quiet so the board and Mr. Dean can hear each other. Thank you.
So if the window drape, in this case, if the part that's facing the outside of the window is white, we could not care less what color the inside of your drape is, right? We do, like, if the outside is, in my example I gave you, red, then you'd have to go to ARC to get a modification, and then eventually I guess it's gonna come to us.
Put red Valentine's hearts all over my window. I can decorate for each season that comes along, but
You could,
I can't have red drapes.
it sounds that way, yes.
you can have red drapes with it back in neutral backing.
A neutral colour on the back.
Most of them would have neutral
Yeah,
colors.
most of them.
A lot of them have blackout lines.
Is there any other questions as it relates to the actual standard that we're revising? Yep.
Sorry.
3.41 vegetable gardens.
Yep.
Can't have a tomato plant. Can't have a squash. Whatever flowers you want. You can have other
Might just be here, it seems like.
Can't have which?
Yeah, the reason why vegetable gardens are frowned upon is because it attracts animals.
in the houses that we have, the trees that we have, planted with the house, have berries and things on them already. So what it amounts to is wherever you decide to draw these lines. Like I say, I've had a tomato plant, doesn't draw any animals, doesn't want any birds, and yet you're saying, and I know that other owners have them as well. We can't do a full garden, but to go ahead and have a plan.
That's what's being suggested from the ARC and is what's being proposed to the board.
Speak louder. Can you put a tomato plant in a pot? That's not a garden.
Tomatoes are fruit.
You know what I mean? It's a,
If it's
You
hidden,
can put
if
a
it's hidden in the screen
plant pot.
lanai, they can do it.
you need to say that.
But if you can put it in a screen lanai, you can do it.
Yeah.
As long as it's hidden from view.
And most, you'd probably more than likely have a tomato plant in a pot, because you don't want to plant it on the grass because of the fact we have reclaimed water. We don't want to be drinking that stuff. We can hear them.
So you said if it's in a pot,
Well, once it's behind your lanai, yeah, not outside.
Yeah.
But you really don't want to be eating anything that the reclaimed water has touched. It could be a very quick weight loss system. Curry Fred.
Any other questions? All right,
Yeah,
all in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? All right, next agenda item is amendment to use restrictions and rules. The 14-day notice went out on January 27th, 2025, and we're going to go to Neil again.
Yeah, again, this is what I mentioned earlier about the awnings. This is really changing the governing document so it's consistent with the ARC standards in terms of being able to, security bars are not permitted to be placed on the windows of any unit, nor are awnings or canopies permitted, including those affixed to the exterior of the unit. So it's really just changing the governing documents to be consistent with the ARC standards. So I'd like to motion that we approve the changes to the governing documents for the prohibition of awnings in the community.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion by the board?
No.
Any discussion by the audience? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then the last one relating to the ARC is to approve a quick paint application. At the moment, anybody who wants to repaint their home in the same colour scheme as they currently have it still has to go to the ARC for approval, which seems crazy because even on the last ARC meeting, which was last Tuesday, there were about 5 applications just to repaint the home the same colour. So we've drawn up a application form that will be now approved by the HOA office, as opposed to having to wait for an ARC meeting for this to be done. So the request here is to approve the introduction of a paint application form, which will allow homeowners to repaint their house the same colours without having to go to the ARC for approval. So my motion is to approve this paint application form.
I second.
Any discussion?
Makes sense. Sorry, that lady.
It's not a question, it's a statement for the board, okay? Our houses are the same color, one of the same color. I mean, you guys, you sit on the board, why don't you find us a paint company that gives us a decent price, because I understand it's about 900 homes here, and eventually they need paint. Why can't you go out and find us a company that'll come in, and when you have 5 or 6 homes to be painted, give them a card, as long as they're doing the job right, and let them paint the houses. So then you know the color, and you know the painter, and we don't have a problem. We have a board. We have this HOA. Let it work for us.
That's open to a lot of issues. So, I'm just throwing it out there. So just say I know a painter and he says to me, Lisa, if you get me 10 jobs, I'll give you $500. So I put him forward to paint 10 houses in Caithrag. So it's something that the board needs to keep at arm's length. And I will say this week, especially in the last couple of weeks on the Facebook page with all the questions about, painting how mailboxes and roofs and all that type of stuff, there are a lot of names that are there. And I mean, it would be on the homeowners to say, look, we live on Mickelson Court, so we've got 6 houses that we need mailboxes for, and get a deal on that, do it that way. But personally, I wouldn't like to see the board getting involved in that.
I wasn't talking about giving you the money, or the board.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is if the board starts getting to a situation where they are putting forward vendors, it just leaves it open.
So that was presented to our HOA attorney. So that, okay.
I got the picture of the paint. Well, I want to change the door because I got that bright blue door and I don't like it. So to do that, I got to change 3 color schemes to do it. It's almost exactly what I got, except the door's different.
Schemes are the schemes.
And I just can't find color and could just paint the door.
The schemes that are approved for a purpose that the colours match each other and they're different sections of the community, and these are the approved colours. If you want to, we don't want, for the aesthetics of the community, to have people with different colours in different houses. That just doesn't fit with the community.
They're all saying.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
We might change our to black.
If you want to change the colour of your door, you have to go to the ARC for approval. If it's not an approved colour, no, you won't. If it's not an approved palette, then no, you will not get approval. No, just with your section. Has to be a colour within your section.
Okay, Chair. We're teachers.
If it's on the palette, that is the approved palette for track K, then you go to the ARC and you ask for that approval. If it's not on the palette, it will not be approved.
Well, we have a brown house in our neighborhood. So you tell me, so that brown house.
I'll take that one. Hang on.
It's sticking out like a north pole.
Okay, so I'll address that one. So that was Lennar's last house. They are excluded. Lennar could paint that house any color it wanted, and there was nothing we could do. When that house changes its color, it will have to comply.
And we approached Lennar to get them to repaint it one of the approved colours, and they refused.
If there's a second house in there, we don't know about it.
Yeah, probably.
We'll have to, yes, that is correct.
Okay.
You said no, it's not that house?
I apologize, I forgot your name.
I'm Liesel.
Lisa?
Liesel.
So you brought up something, I want to bring it back.
Can you, it's for the people really online.
Mailboxes. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, I'm not, but I don't have anything to do with it, so to speak, but I just use it as an example because I know the letters.
So can you talk about that with us?
What would you like me to say?
So we got a letter in the mail, I just received it today regarding mailboxes, cleaning of roofs. So when you clean a roof, typically, how do you do that? Is it gonna cause problems to the roof?
Well, we just discussed this, and I'm probably not the right person to answer this because I'm probably in the minority here, but I don't think that the roofs should be pressure washed. They should be clean, but to be honest with you, the ones that I'm seeing that are being done in the section I'm living in, which is this area here, I live on Nicholson, the colour's coming off, the tiles, and those tiles were initially designed with 3 colours. There was a blue, there was a red, and a goldy colour. And the ones that are being cleaned now, they're all going beige. So the board may not want me answering that one.
We're not
insisting on pressure
We're
wash,
not, yeah, we don't say power wash.
No, I know, but people do it. That's what people are doing.
Say power wash the roof.
Yeah. Pressure wash, yeah. More like effort wash.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be soft wash.
It should be soft wash, but it says
It should
power
be
wash.
a soft wash, but it's not like that. And also, there's a lot of guys out there that are not soft washing it, so that's where your problems are. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Mailboxes, I have no problem. My mailbox needs to be painted. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, and I'd no issue. Funny, we'd actually bought the numbers and the arm and all, the whole lot, just had to get around to doing it. So mailboxes are fine, but I have a problem with roofs.
You send somebody up there, you got a couple of things. Somebody could fall in.
Yeah, well, that'll be your liability, unfortunately. Yeah.
Number 2 is, could you cause damage to your house? Somebody who's not, didn't do it right, or now you did it wrong, you got a leak in your house.
I think the aim is just to have the roof clean.
Just turn it, hit the button until it turns green.
To have the roof cleaned. So I think we need to change the wording on those violations from pressure wash to soft wash, because that, I had my roof soft washed a couple of months ago and it's perfectly clean. I didn't need to have it power
Can you
washed.
explain how that was processed?
Yeah. I didn't need to get an application.
How did you do it?
How did I do it? I had a guy who didn't use pressure wash, he just used soft wash. And he was up there just cleaning it with a, not a pressure wash, he was just cleaning it with a particular soap. That, like a bleach type thing, which bleached all of the stuff off and did a great job. So I think we need to change the wording on that. Oh gosh, now I had him do my lanai as well and the outside of the house, so he cleaned the whole thing for $900. Yeah.
And what's his name?
Don't go there.
No later.
He's gonna start at $100.
Full circle.
Neil, I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
When it comes to, please excuse me, I don't know the answer to this. So if you paint the house the same color, we're gonna get away from going through the ARC. How about the mailboxes? We just go out and paint our mailboxes, or do we have to go through the ARC?
I think you just paint everybody. Anybody I've seen is painting them.
So currently it has to go through ARC.
The real way.
Oh,
Currently it has to go through ARC, but you make a good point.
Make a good point.
Add that
Yeah,
to the,
It sounds like a logical,
it does.
yeah.
We'll get them,
Double S.
we'll have to get them to add that to
maybe
it.
add, hey, if you're gonna put.
well, you're doing more work now than you did on the board, Gary.
That's probably true. But if you like replace a tree with the same tree.
Oh, no.
You won on a mail.
You got
You got the mail.
You got there and then you went too far, Gary.
Take the win.
Let's stick with the mailbox, okay?
That's a fair ask, yes.
Please add the mailbox to it.
Yep. we can do that.
And I think on the mailbox, you have to specify like the sheen, right? Because you can get
Yeah.
high gloss, you can get matte, you need like
Well,
everything in
yeah,
between.
and also they have to be the
Black,
right,
gray, gray, black.
you have to get the numbers from the,
Numbers have to be consistent.
yeah. On my street now, there's about 4 different sets of numbers.
Right, we got a lot to get through. So can we get back to the quick paint application? Any more questions?
Question about cleaning,
Okay.
if I may. The sidewalks and the concrete areas where the
You got
water,
it,
rainwater on that, they're very extremely black.
Yep.
They look terrible. Is that something that you guys maintain for us, or?
No, the sidewalks, if it's the sidewalks outside the front of your house, that's your responsibility to clean them. And the apron as well. So those can be power washed.
And then what about a sidewalk that has like a 2-inch, where it's heaved up, 2-inch trip hazard? Who's responsible for that?
HOA.
That's HOA, yeah, that's probably a free route.
Definitely.
Stephanie or Debbie?
There's already an assessment that was done, and they're going basically street by street right now. There
We
is
did have
one,
one question back there.
real quick, before you go jump over, there's one here that's been waiting for a moment. If it's an approved color, why not have a quick application for all painting?
Quick application for all painting.
On the quick application, instead of
So
same color?
I think, if I explain what the ARC do is when they get an application in, they do go out and visit the properties. So they do look at the various aspects of what's being asked. And I think if it's going to be painted a different color to what it currently is, they would want to go out and inspect it to make sure that makes sense. So I think painting it the same color is fine. Painting it a different color, the ARC would want to look at that and approve that themselves.
Okay, I want to go back to the roofs, because I'm one of the 228 families that got a roof cleaning letter over a 30-day window. So Stephanie was very busy with the drive-by. So the question I've got for the board is, what is the standard for the inspector to be determining whether a roof really needs to be cleaned? I don't think my roof is any different than anybody else's. And I don't have a problem if I know that the standard is being followed, but I don't think there is any. So I think you need to establish a standard, what it looks like, samples of, does it need to look brand new? Does it need to look like it's been lived in or not lived in? So there's very easy ways to do it. You specify what the standards are, and then the inspector is trained to do that. Not just drive by and say dirty, 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 dirty.
Just in that letter.
And so I don't think that that was right. And your bylaws do specifically say pressure washing or power washing. I don't remember now whether it was. And my roofer, we've had several leaks over ours, such a quality builder, that we've had to have roof repairs. Our builder, our repair guy specifically said, do not power wash your roof because it loosens the concrete and it will damage your tiles and it will have wear injuries. So your bylaws specifically say it. The other thing is, the letter that we got is unsigned. And I'm sorry, that has no legal standing. So if you're gonna have it sent out, then it should be signed, and it shouldn't be clear about, is it a request or is it a requirement? Because when you send out something that says kindly request, what is that? Is that a requirement or is that a demand? And then you need to be specifying what that is. So I think, you need to come up with a standard. I don't mind cleaning my roof if it needs it. If it doesn't need it, I don't think it does. So, and I don't think you should keep the standard of, well, it has to look brand new all the time. And maybe what you need to do is revise your standard completely and say, we're, just like we trim your trees, you send out a roof cleaner to soft wash the roofs every 3 years or 5 years or whatever you determine, because then it's not nebulous. It's not subjective. It's very objective. We're going to do this every 3 years. We're going to do it every 5 years. But right now, I don't know what they're requiring. Other than I got to know that I got to spend money to clean.
I agree. I think really with roof cleaning, with roof cleaning, I think, if we want to keep a standard in each phase, it should really go on a time basis. And really the standard for most roof cleaning is, anywhere from 5 to 6 years. So every 5 to 6 years, because it's subjective, right? And is this roof clean or is this roof clean in the same phase? Well, they were built at the same time. So if we are going to require a roof cleaning, it really should be a set, is it 5 years, 6 years, some sort of standard.
Yeah, I hear you, Matt, but then you're going to have different situations where you've got some properties backing onto woodlands, and their roofs are going to get dirtier much quicker than one that doesn't back onto those. So you can't set a standard when you've got different environmental issues that are going to impact people's roofs.
How many environmental issues?
But we have gray roofs. I'm in phase 2. We have gray roofs.
What's the standard and who's determining the standard on a roof for an individual that may not have woodlands behind them, and they feel like, well, my roof is clean. So the big question is who's determining that standard and who's going to make that call, where my suggestion is just make it a set standard so there's no question.
We actually went around and did this.
Our HOA manager went
Who's
around.
that?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, are you a roofer?
That's not Stephanie.
Is she here?
No,
No, she's the one on holidays.
Is she a certified roofer?
No, but she's a certified HOA manager who one of her responsibilities is to issue and to review the community for violations. We have to rely upon her services for those particular standards.
Okay, we're going to be here all night. We're going
Yeah.
to get back to the
Okay.
paint application,
Kathleen.
right?
Just one point
Yeah.
before you get back to that. I had my roof power washed in October of '23, okay, $700. Then Stephanie came around and gave me another letter, or a letter saying I had to do it again, that it was below the standard. So first I asked, like I just heard it, what gives Stephanie the know-how or the how educated is Stephanie that she gets to go and be the inspector? I mean, what standards does she have to follow? What does she determine dirty? Now, that was a huge expense for me because I'm now $700 twice in a year and a half or 2 years. That's unacceptable. So if we can come up with a standard, it prevents people like me from having to pay $1,500, which is a lot of money. Not to mention, our roofs look fabulous compared to what we drive through to get to our community.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I mean, those retreats, come on. We're just being dragged through the mud with this. And then that's their standard. So, twice in 2 years, $1,500. because Stephanie's told me it looks dirty. Okay,
Are they faded or are they dirty? That's another question.
it's the gray roofs, the white ones
It's
are gonna
the
look.
black algae, it's
Yeah.
it's all the black, like, I mean, the tree is a perfect example, right? You go down Oasis Club Boulevard and the ones that are near leaderboard, I mean, they're not only black on the roofs, they're black going up by the windows and and they period have standards, but their board is chosen not to enforce those standards, right? So that's the other side of this, right? If we let it like, oh, everybody decide when they think the roof, you're gonna have people who think that that's clean, right? So it's like you gotta draw the line somewhere. Now, whether it's a time fence, again, if you're by one of the fountains, if you're by Woodlands, you know, I had mine done chemical, right? Again, I think we call it soft block where they do, they put bleach on it, but you have to be very careful because you gotta water down all your plants while they're doing it because you don't want the bleach because it'll kill your plants. But- Right, so that's why when you say, can the board get involved, we don't want to pick, is like different companies, they might charge less, but do a lower quality job, or they don't use the garden hose to water down all the plants, et cetera, so.
What I think everybody's trying to get to is, why don't you guys revisit this? Talk about it, revisit it maybe another later date of some kind of structure where this has to be done every, like this gentleman's saying, every 5 years, 6 years, or whatever, versus just throwing it on our lap.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that the board should look at that and redirect it and come back with it. I mean, I got a letter today.
Right.
Today. This is supposed to be done.
Now,
Because
No,
at the
I
end of the
think
day,
in February.
woodlands or no woodlands,
Okay.
every 5 years, your roof is really gonna need to be.
see, Matt, I actually think it's like every 3 years, in other words, based on what I've seen, like 5 years seems like a lot to me.
So on the roof part, we will go take a look at
Yep.
revisiting that. You can talk to Ark and see where we can come up with on that. No. No, Terry. I want to get back to the paint application and let's go. We
What are you
can,
saying, you're gonna put a hold on this?
on
No,
that,
Motions for
no.
the, in our.
We're dealing with the paint application.
Yeah.
Right? So
So park that till the,
park that,
to the end.
yes, to the end. All right, so it's, we have a vote on the paint application. All in favor?
I'll just amend my motion to include mailboxes.
So you're going to rewrite this then?
We'll rewrite it to get mailboxes added to it.
Okay. All right, so then I'll second your motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Okay, so we're going to swap the next two, and we're going to move to management contract first. Okay. So the management contract that we're talking about is our contract with FSR. That currently is up for renewal on May 31, 2025. We have a 90-day notice period, which puts us at March 2, 2025. We have 3 options on that date. Do nothing, enter into a different contract, or send them packing. Those are the 3 options that exist. But what we need to look at is their initial contract with us was for 3 years. I'm acutely aware that the first couple of years there was some challenges. But if we're being really honest with each other, in 2024, if we start to look at the way they have made their changes and what improvements they have done, right? The level of service has increased. The financial results, as Alan has posted or presented this evening, have all changed. These improvements are with our current team. We're all a little upset with FSR from sins from 2022 and early 23.
And 20.
I get it. I get it. Some of us yesterday, right? Right? Then if we look at the quality of our food in here, that's why it's improved immensely, right? And we're seeing that in the results of more of our food credits being used, right? Our goal collectively should be that no one's food credit expires, this is a destination spot to come to. If we look at our golf operations, there's a swing there of hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1 year. That's these guys, right? And like, when we look at it, they actively manage our third parties. United, our landscaping has never looked better. They changed that contract. I don't remember when. It's up at the end of this year as well, right? Then we look at the benefits that they have given us led to the lowest HOA monthly fee increase since turnover, right? Those aren't little achievements. That's quite a bit. So when we start looking at all of that, you got to ask yourself, would we change just for the sake of changing, or would we change because of something that was done in the past? So, and then in addition to all of that, we have what keeps me up at night and keeps probably Neil up at night, actually probably keeps all of us up at night, is the 558, right? For the most part, in fairness, you guys are all insulated from that, right? The way we rely on FSR for knowing where our documents are, where the skeletons are buried, how to access that information, right? This isn't a small lawsuit. To change that is a significant undertaking. And I'm not convinced that the risk of a change is warranted at this time. So, I mean, when we look at it all, where are we? So we entered into negotiations with FSR on extending the contract for some period of time. The May 31 date is a non-starter in my opinion. It puts any change right in the middle of busy season. That would mean you would have to be giving notice and changes. You'd be interviewing throughout January and February. You can rest assured you are going to miss your financial numbers that year. There is zero question about it. If any of you lived here when we changed over from Icon to FSR, you know what it's like. We're going to lose staff. We're going to lose staff. They're going to lose focus. There's no debating that, right? So as we've entered into that contract, we started to negotiate on a change in the amount of fees that we pay them. A reduction, not an increase. We've also started to look at and introduce to them key performance indexes. We want to start getting this measurable, repeatable, and presentable, just like it's presented at the monthly management report here. It's what were our service levels? What was the amount of contacts that we got in the phone call? Because that's like when you make a phone call to have a service item done and know that number, that's great. But what was the turnaround? 48 hours, 72 hours? I can't answer that question. So I guarantee you can't, but we can start to put that in as an index. We can start having golf numbers put in where you need to perform to a certain level and a certain level of satisfaction with the homeowner. That means monthly service, that means not only service levels, but then we need to have questionnaires go out. We need to have surveys go out. We need to see what the feedback is. It seems that we need to get a barometer of where everyone's at. So when I look at that, as we start the negotiations, because we will not be finished by March 2, right? So what we're looking to do is to either extend to August 31, 2026, which would then put that after a busy season. So if whatever board at that time wants to change, they can do it. It would be in a non-busy, the least disruptive to the community. If we get the right favorable terms, we come back and we have a discussion that maybe we look at a 3-year deal. But what I want at this point is to put through a motion to not give FSR notice on March 2nd. In the absence of that, I have no choice but to sign that, or the contract automatically renews for 12 months. So we have a decision to make. We've talked about this, and that is where we're at. So at this time, I'd like to make that motion not to give them notice to terminate the contract on March 2nd, 2025. Do I have a second?
I'll have a second.
In a minute.
Second, folks.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion by the board?
Yep.
Good.
I honestly do not, as somebody who's lived here since 2020, sorry, as somebody who's lived here since 2020 and I've been here since the beginning with FSR, I still stand by what I said when I ran for the board last year, and that I do not think that their performance warrants an extension. It doesn't warrant, it certainly doesn't warrant a 3-year extension. And I'll be absolutely, I've discussed this with the board, so this is no surprise for them. It took you coming in, picking the golf club up by the scruff of the neck, giving it a shake to get it sorted. FSR just let it run, and they didn't care because we were a cash cow. And they're not the right fix for us. We need a golf course management company in here because primarily our biggest asset is that course on our tee sheet, and that they have to be managed. The plaza, we're struggling in the plaza. There's no, I'm not seeing anywhere that, I'm not seeing that they're managing and they're being paid to manage. If I have a job and I'm a manager, I have to manage, and it's not happening. And I may be the only voice of dissent on this board, but I would certainly not be. I do understand that we have to keep them on for a year to another 14, 15 months. But in that year, I would like us to go down and look at other avenues. I think we owe it to the homeowners who every month pay close to $1,000 to run this company or run this community. And a big chunk of that goes to FSR's running costs. So I am definitely not in favour of a 3-year increase. I think we need to look at other options.
So just to go back to that, our motion is just to
I know
not
it is.
issue.
I know.
We're not entering into a contract for
18
3
months
years.
to me is still a long time. And
We are not even doing that. What we're saying is I'm not going to give them, I'm not going to send them packing on March 2nd.
unfortunately, no.
So we need time and space here.
Okay, but if we're going to do that, I would like to amend the motion so that if we're going to do that, that the board agree that we are going to do what I thought we were going to do, which was give them an extension with better terms, and then use that period that we have of the extension to investigate other options.
If we come up with better terms with them, we will come back and we'd have to approve that. We're not even approving that right
Yeah, I know, but I don't want it to be just a case that we just say go ahead.
now. We would have to,
But all we're going ahead with is not issuing a notice to terminate.
Yeah, but I want to amend the motion
amend it to
say that if you're going to give it to them, if we're going to extend their contract on the 2nd of March, because it's not going to be an auto renewal. I want to put a time frame on it.
And you're just extending the negotiation period.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to be very careful that we don't get caught up in something that we're going to be sorry about. I'd like a time. It's what we discussed.
right, but we're not actually approving a contract to August 31.
No, I know we're not.
2026.
No, I know we're not doing that.
Right, we're just not
But
giving
we're
them.
going to agree that we're going to do that. You with me?
What's the motion? Say the motion.
Okay.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to not give notice to FSR to terminate the contract on March 2nd, 2025. Does not contemplate how long any new contract would be. So to put something in there, I don't even know what I'm voting on at that point then.
If you don't terminate, what does that mean? It automatically renews.
Well,
It would automatically renew for 1 year.
That's the worst
We
case
didn't enter
scenario.
into another.
Yeah, I think we need to put a date on it.
An addendum to the March date, extend that to August. So now that gives you the next 6 months.
The only reason I don't want to do that is I do not have a contract with them yet. So then that just makes us right, which makes us fully exposed. I can't negotiate anything at that point because that approval would exist. We did, in all fairness, we did discuss this. No, we did discuss this as a board.
I worked all time. I came up here 2 different times to talk to someone. We're supposed to lunch. Nobody's there. Just basic management things. I'm not saying.
Before we move forward with any sort of audience discussion, did you guys because you haven't opened it up for audience discussion yet, technically. So.
You know where I'm coming from. I just don't want to leave anything open-ended.
Right, so like if we end up coming to an extension contract where we come back to the board, we come back to this
We have to
thing.
extend it now because we have to extend it for 18 months.
It's not 18, it's 15 months.
50, well, but.
We don't.
50. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want that in. I want the number in there.
but we don't know that that's going to be the, like, FSR might say we only want to do 1 year. We can't,
Yeah, no, but
might say we only want to do.
In that period of 15 months.
Folks,
then we
please stay
can-
quiet so the board can hear each other. They're in
So
discussion.
it's in that 15 months, then we can then start investigating other options. That's my point. We're only giving them, in my view, we're only giving them the extension so that we can let them run along and investigate. Now, they might be the best people out there, but we're doing ourselves a disservice by not checking.
One of the challenges with doing that is that the financial benefits of extending will be taken off the table by First Services.
They're asking to hear you guys while you're in discussion.
So I was saying that if we restrict this motion, then one of the benefits of the negotiations we're talking about is a financial benefit. There's no incentive for them to provide financial benefits to us if we start to tie their hands in terms of timing.
Well, as a salesperson, I would say that to get another contract, I would be working my damnedest to do everything I could to work with them.
That's the incentive, is a new contract.
Exactly. And we shouldn't be held over a barrel, and we're not going to do this if you're not going to work. If you're going to move somewhere else, well, then we're going to, jump ship and wash our hands and not do the work. That's unethical for a start.
But we're all aware it happened last time with Icon. That's exactly what
Icon were
happened.
different.
No, they were not.
No,
They're a
hold on.
management company, exactly the same.
But Icon were
It was a
working for
disaster.
Lennar. Icon were working. Well, to be honest with you, best practice in any turnover is always to stick with the company for a year, find out where the bodies are buried, and then go ahead and make the change.
Which
But
is what we
here-
did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
You didn't.
We did. We turned over in August 2021. We stayed with them for a year, and then we turned over. We
You
moved to
signed this
First
contract in
Services.
March. That was 6 months.
August to March is not 6 months.
Oh, sorry, 7 months. I beg your pardon. Sorry, my maths might be great tonight. But all I'm saying is, if we're in a situation where we're afraid to start looking after our own interests because we're trying to keep FSR sweet, well, then that's not an equal partnership.
It's not we're afraid, it's that there is
You
no,
just said that.
there's no rationale for us to move when they're now doing what
They're not
it's
doing it.
considered.
They're still not running the place right, Neil. Seriously.
Well, I
had
disagree.
3:30 on Saturday. I was up at the golf club, and there wasn't one golf ball on the range on a Saturday afternoon, and the place was hot. That's just basic management. That's not even top level management. That's like, we're talking about, just basic housekeeping. You've got all these issues now with these. Look, all I'm saying is, everybody knows what I think. I would like a number put into that motion that you've said.
Or we could amend it and just do 3 years right now.
Nope. John Lambert
Hang
isn't
on.
here. John Lambert isn't here.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to, okay, well, go ahead. I'm sure.
We'll go ahead when we go ahead. We're going to have our discussion first, Hazel. Because if we put in what you're asking for, how would we go back to FSR to negotiate the best deal during that time period?
Because if they want the bloody job, they'll do it. Yeah. If they want the contract, they'll have to fight for it.
No, but I'm saying if I put through a motion that we're going to give them a contract to August 31st of 2026,
Yeah.
then you want me to go talk to her to say, let's negotiate that August 31st, 2026 contract, which we just approved. What's her incentive to actually negotiate with me?
Well, I'm sure, as a salesperson, I'd like another couple of years. I have a saying in life, you don't make a sale, you make a customer. So.
Who is the customer?
Well, we're supposed to be the customer, but I don't think Fields doesn't feel like it. Sorry, James.
Well, who do you think is the customer then?
I honestly think FSR is a top tier management of customers, because everything seems to be, there's very little. Now, Debbie, I will give her a juice, and she's come on, she has improved things. But that was at the end of their term, because they knew they were in dire straits and they knew they were going to lose it. So that to me is too late. That Debbie they should have had their best people in here from the beginning. Not have us in there swimming around, losing money. And a homeowner had to sort out the golf club, not FSR. And I'm sitting beside him. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, we might have nudged them a little.
No, James, we're paying too much money to have to nudge someone. You nudge a guy who's stacking shelves in Walmart and doesn't really want to do it, but he's doing it because has to do it. You nudge him. Top level management that are getting paid the money that we're paying them, they should be running ahead that we're running to catch up with them.
So as we ponder that, let's open it up.
Okay. Nancy, you were first, I believe.
Yeah, give me a mic, I know. I'm really disappointed that we didn't do what was said, that we were going to investigate other avenues. Granted, there's been a lot of improvements with FSR. I will tell you that 100%. I've seen major changes. Food is good. The staff that we interact with at the management level, that's visible, has done well. I can tell you just today, it was initially the doors, no problem. The pool this afternoon. Are we allowed to bring in outside food? There was a big group here today. 2 residents. They brought in pizzas, Chick-fil-A, lunch is still here. No one from the office does anything about it. No one. That's wrong. So there are avenues that you need to negotiate with them. There are things they need to do. They have to have some deliverables in the contract. And I trust that's what you're doing, that you're working on that. But to give them carte blanche and expect them, I know when I worked in business, and I know when we worked with consultants, we said we're going to investigate other possible consultants. They worked their butt off to keep that job. We have people who are working very hard here, who are with FSR. There are others who are not. That's the bottom line. So you need to do something. And I agree that you have done a lot of hard work to get to this point. But it should be on you to tell them all the time what they need to do. Thank you.
I just had a quick comment.
Back here.
So far. Not now though. I've been in business most of my life. I don't understand how we're in this position. That we have to delay anything. Why wasn't this done prior? Let me just finish and then you can answer, but why wasn't this done prior that we're now backed into a corner by saying, well, we can't do this in March. I'm not sure why we can't and why we still can't look from February, why we can't look at other options simultaneously, but the delay, when I agree with this fine woman in the front here, is there are things that have not been right. We're here 9 years. There are things that have not been done correctly. And so I don't think just extending to be a good partner is the answer. I think we need to definitively move on and look at other options. Not saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I think you can't do this a month before, 6 weeks before you need to make a decision. This is totally out of bounds from a business perspective.
So let me answer that one. As a board, we collectively agreed in the late fall of 2024, to not pursue a change and to extend out to August of 31, 2026 because of the impact of changing during busy. We all agreed.
On the premise that that period
Right.
we would.
So since that time, we have been negotiating the terms of what we want with FSR. That's the performance index. That's the tiebacks on those items, right? The length of time it takes to negotiate each one of those items, because at the end of the day, we're homeowners like you too, right? Like, I mean, we're not paid. So some of that is, they got to fit into our schedule, their schedule. Then we have the whole rules about how we can meet and what we can meet to discuss. So it's not like all 5 of us can sit down and have a nice little conversation about it and get it done in a day. It'd be Neil and I having a conversation, then he goes to Liesl or I go to Alan or whatever the case might be. But to think that today was the first time, this is the first time we're coming to you all, right? Because when we're looking at trying to Neil and I were with them for hours on Friday to try and get to a finalized number and to incorporate those performance measures. And we're close, but we're not there. And we're looking at the time frame of the clock ticking. We have no board meeting now until after March 2nd. So there is no, like, we can call a meeting, I guess, emergency meeting at any time if we want to, right? But we still have to get to a contract. And
I understand. I work in all 50 states.
Okay.
I've never had a contract this close without negotiating and looking for alternatives. That's just good business.
Right, but
I'm not saying that you can't keep them, but you need to have other options out there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I have a problem, not necessarily with FSR, but with how it's being supervised. And I assume it's by the board, because you set the standards for what you accept. So when I look at the door and it says they're open from 9 to 4, that's a 7-hour workday. 7 hours. I don't know about you, but I never worked a 7-hour workday. And I called, the day Stephanie left, I called about the roof, and it was 2:50 in the afternoon. And my phone got disconnected because it just went from place to place to place, and finally it just hung up. I tried again, same thing, the phone. Nobody answered the phone. It wasn't 4 o'clock, it was 2:50. So the problem is, I personally think FSR, our budget is bloated. I think our staff is bloated. I think we got a lot of overhead from their headquarters. And I think we got people that hide in these offices and we don't even know who we're paying for, because when we see our budget, we just see millions of dollars for salaries. And we don't see what the jobs are. I'd like to see who are the supervisors, what is for overhead from outside that we don't even see. We need more information, but it really comes down to the board. It's your job to represent. And Barbara said, we're just now at the last minute, and it's just like we're getting stuck. But, I talked to Terry when he was on the board. I said, just get rid of FSR and let's do it. We got enough quality people in this resident, our community.
Not a chance.
I think there are people, and we wouldn't have all the overhead. Luckily, famous when we don't know. I don't want to be. There are a lot more better people than me.
They're smart keeping their own.
I just get a small thing to say. This is just an example of some of the things they need to be, that they're not looking at. When we came in this afternoon, the door was locked, was bolted open because it was broken. I don't know if they all go to lunch at the same time, but there's nobody monitoring anything. I mean, at one point, somebody used to be there and greet people when you walk in. But here the doors wide open because they're broken. Everybody's out at lunch and people are doing all kinds of food then. Is that okay? So it's the little things like that that's making it, that's making it, we don't have budget for this, we're decorating, and then last minute, we're all running up here and trying to get things done. So it's all the little things that just keep piling up and up and up. And it seems to me like the board is supposed to represent the homeowners, so it seems to me like we should all be building on this, not just you. It's a service, it's a community.
Just only on Mondays you can bring your own. Is there not?
Another comment here?
I think this is the whole point.
Yes.
Okay? The board had agreed to push the contract back until August of 26. That gives us a number of months to get an RFP in place. I don't know how many people ever run an RFP where you gotta change providers and bring it in. It takes a lot of time up front, and then you also gotta calculate the cost of change. How much are we gonna lose with the transition? If don't say, well, we're not gonna do anything. That's BS, because you are going to lose, okay? So you have to set it in place. And I don't think the board's saying we're not gonna go out. And this isn't about fashion first service. This is about what is the process are we gonna put in place to review for our management company, okay? And I think the board's doing what they need to do to have the adequate time to make a decision. And I think that's what the board is trying to do. To Liesel's point,
she just doesn't want to give another contract. We need to do the due diligence of who's out there. And I think as we go out for an RFP, we need to do one thing. We need to define our requirements, define staffing, define the KPIs, and we also need a board member that's designed as the vendor manager, okay? And every meeting we have, it's just not, well, we had 558 requests, this and this. What are the KPIs and how are they performing? So if one person in the audience here had a problem, oh, they're no good. Let the KPIs speak for themselves. Then that way, whoever the vendor is, they do that. And I wouldn't be opposed to having a gain share too. They bring additional revenue in. How do we incentivize them to do a good job, other than getting the contract? Well,
they're not performing.
but you don't want that. But you don't want that. You don't want that.
After the creative damages, now you make it.
You don't want it. You don't want
For their contract. And if they don't, if they're not on, then we should be getting money back.
That could go, well, that's up to them. But I've seen that happen and it's been, I've not had good success. I'd rather give somebody a bonus than say, hey, you owe me $100,000. So I think if we set the parameters, the KPIs, if you set the contract up correctly, you'll see glaringly where they need to be. And then they have, a month or 2 months to remedy the situation. So I think that's really what we need to do. I don't want to bash anybody. We need to set the process in place, and I think you're on the right path. We just got to get moving on that path. And I agree, if you don't do it, you're doing what you need to do to extend it, get favorable terms in the interim, and then look at it. Who knows, they may come in and be the surprise winner, but you don't know until you get out there. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I agree, Tom. And my question is, how are we determining those KPIs, those key performance indicators, right? Are we gonna take my recommendation is to, kind of compartmentalize those KPIs and maybe get some input from the community, right? On what our expectations are moving forward, collectively as a group, whether that's through a survey or what have you, so that we can put those in place, those important things in place for the community.
I think, Matt, they have to be measurable and achievable. So, you have to have things around maybe customer service, producing the financials, and some of the responsibilities that they have in terms of vendor management, in terms of, we have James put a lot of this together already and has provided that to them, that they're working through in terms of various customer levels and KPIs that have to be measurable, achievable, and fair. So that's what we're doing. I think if we go out to the community for all of that as well, that's just going to push the timeline out even further. That's the only challenge I would say there.
So hang on. So Matt, what we did was we taking each of our third-party vendors, and this particular one is United and Turf. We list the names of the streets, how many houses we have on it, and then this is for January, and then it's week 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it gets down to what's the percentage score. They have to tie back in and achieve 80%, and what these items are comes back into this one is, are the trimming done? Is the hedge clipped? Is the backs of the houses, because they get missed every time, right? But that's FSR managing United. That's just one example. We have these for all the vendors. I know you all think it's a week to get this done. It's not. It's not even close to that, right? I mean, it's down to items like, for example, most of you probably don't know, we have 2 liquor licenses. Beer that's up here can't go down to golf and vice versa. So when we have an inventory spot that tells us what the beer is, you could be 0 Stella at golf and have 10 cases up here, right? So it's all of those types of items, but yeah, we're going through them. And we made the conscious decision to not disrupt busy season. And when January numbers eventually come out, I think you'll be happy we didn't disrupt January. But we'll see.
All right, please excuse me, I might be a little long. I won't be too long, but I just want to give my 2 cents. I was on the board for a little over 2 years, and I've seen the goods and the bads, all right? The Plaza staff, I don't care what anybody says, they've done a phenomenal job over the past couple of years, all right? These guys back here, you know they've only had 1 new employee last year, and in the F&B industry, it's turnover and turnover and turnover. So Chuck Dan and them, they have this place rolling. I think they're doing pretty well. Okay. With the golf, I don't agree with that. I personally don't think FSR should have ever had the golf contract because they've never dealt with it. And I think their employees want to do well. But Christina, I'm sorry, I've dealt with you and Brent. I just don't think you guys are as engaged and motivate and train your people how they should be trained. I mean, you guys just sit there, write your books, play on your computer. You know, I was in the Navy for 22 years, 23 actually, but leaders get up and they have a voice and they motivate their people. I just don't see that from your leadership. I don't, I'm sorry. I hope you don't take it the wrong way. But I want to see somebody come in here and like take it over, own it. I mean, this is our home. You know, if you guys do bad, our home values go down. If you guys do bad, our HOAs go up. And what you guys did in golf the past couple of years, you actually hurt us. We lost a lot of money. All right, there's things that we have to do. And when myself and my wife go to play golf, and I'm told that I can't take a cart out, even though I'm on the tee sheet, because the guy's going to be at the golf course too late, that's a problem. I have probably 50 emails I've sent to the HOA, even when I was on the board and not on the board, about just little things. Even the range balls, like Lisa said. Like the range, if it's supposed to be open during a certain time, it should be open. And the problem is the leadership. And I like Ben. I think Ben's doing a great job. Do I think he was thrown in the position a little early? Maybe. But he's rising to the occasion. He's been great. And I'm not saying get rid of that. I'm not saying that at all. He's done great. Some of the people down there, like when I walk into the golf shop, I should be asked like, hey, Mr. Horn, how you doing? You looking for anything? You know, any of your friends looking to become members, like trying to increase revenue? I just don't see that. I'm sorry. It's terrible. I've been saying this for years and nothing's changed. So you can sit there and act like you care, but I don't think you do personally. I just think that it's not the guys on the ground. I think it's the leadership up top that needs to change for FSR to show us. And I always thought that every month or quarterly should be like a little production meeting. So each person gets up, you know, what are we doing? How are we doing? How are we increasing revenue? This is where we stand. I think FSR should stand up and give us briefs every month, every quarter, or Christina, or the GM, you know, the golf pro. I'm sure Dan would love to do it. But it's not there, you know, and I just think if the board gets way too, just to let you guys know, the board gets way too involved with operations, and we're not supposed to. Like these guys up here and girls, Lisa, they spend, I mean, I'm not talking 3-4 hours. You know, when I was on the board, I was the least engaged out of all. There's people that spent 30, 40 hours a week on this. They should not be spending that much time. And to me, it's all about the leadership. And if you're on top, your people will follow, and I just don't think they're as engaged. What's that?
Also, homeowners.
I don't disagree with you. I'm with you 100%. And like I said, with these guys, I think they're doing great here. Just the leadership needs to change. And I'd like to hear from them what they're going to do different if they want to keep the job.
Just to follow through with that, I agree that not to throw anybody under the bus, but we don't, for example, New Year's Eve, this past New Year's Eve, myself and another homeowner, because at 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve, a big party, sold out party, we had 0 decorations, 1 little box of decorations. Now, if I was in charge of that, I would be on it now for next year. We know New Year's is coming, okay? Myself and Don Buckley had to go out and between the two of us spent $500 because we were left with this much decorations. And we did not want to do that for the rest of our community because we deserve a nice New Year's party. So at the last minute, she's in a bathing suit on top of the shelves at Walmart. That stuff should not have to happen. We have a lifestyle director, again, no disrespect, but since we're coming clean here, and he also has a boss. So stuff like that should not happen, and I hope to God it doesn't happen again. We did get reimbursed, but it took a little while, but we're all whole again. You know, it's just ridiculous things that are allowed to happen that should not happen, and I hope do not have to happen again.
Put it down there while the going was good.
Terry, along with the lines of golf, if people look at the proposal that Alan gave us this year for our assessments, we are picking up $1 million in the assessment for golf. And that's why, yeah, we need somebody that knows golf versus somebody that's just going ahead and going through the motions. On the plaza, we come up here Sunday for breakfast. Oftentimes, there's basically almost nobody. Why aren't we going ahead and questioning people, what would it take to get you to come? But there's no incentive, like you have in business, for somebody to go ahead and increase the numbers. You talk about the hours. Yeah, they finally gonna go ahead and be open on a weekday. Well, we have owners that come during the holidays. Are we open? No. Are we a service organization? In service companies, you have people there that trade it. So somebody worked the day after Christmas, somebody worked the day after Thanksgiving. The master does it, but no, we don't do it. It's not come from the board, nor from the management company. As far as the inspection, we're talking about roofs. How did Stephanie do her inspection, Lord? Tell me. No, I'll tell you, but tell me how she did her inspection of the roof inspections. Tell me.
So if you're asking me, because I did a drive-by with her in the fall of 2024, she was in her car with the other Stephanie, both Stephanies. They drove the streets, right?
Uh-huh.
And so hang on, you asked me a question, right? And then they would go to each of the houses as they're driving down, they would look as they're driving past, and then they would decide what the items were, what they're specifically looking at. I have no idea the extent of how many infractions that you'd have to take into account. No idea.
You tell me, group, can you do a roof inspection by sitting in the driver's seat, looking through the passenger's window to look up at a roof? That's exactly how she did it. I watched her.
For dirt. It's not a roof inspection. It's looking for dirt.
No, but
She doesn't care if.
she set out roof, you gotta clean the roof.
Right, so it's dirt on the roof.
And she's doing it from the driver's seat, looking through the passenger.
And how would you think she would do that?
Pardon?
How would you think she would do it?
You get out of your car, you walk around and you look.
So enter your property?
You can stand on the sidewalk, but you can certainly see a lot more than you can see looking through a passenger's window from the driver's seat. Yeah, and how, and again, you're gonna determine if I need to paint my house, and you're doing it from the street. I mean, this is the quality of what we've got.
Just to be clear, they're not allowed to walk through our property. They're not allowed to be on the back of our property. They can only view it from the street. That's all they're allowed unless you allow them on the property.
That's why we need some changes, because you can't go ahead and do an inspection improperly and then tell somebody they need to do it. And the same way we talked about the roofs. What it amounts to is you don't want people walking on the roof. And so what it amounts to is, and then secondly, you've got somebody sitting in a car looking through the windows in a two-story house. You can't even see the roof from inside the car. And yet you're telling people you got to spend $500 and clean the roof.
The third part of it is you can come to my neighborhood and you can look at the roofs. And some of them have had it done, some of them haven't done. And I'll guarantee you, you're gonna tell somebody that had it done 2 weeks ago that they still have to get it done because you can't tell a difference. So that's why, like you say, there needs to be a standard, but that's what we're operating.
They could use a drone. Everybody else uses.
We should use a drone for the road.
Fred has a question.
I think we can beat this thing to death. Bottom line is, everybody has their opinions, everybody has access to board members that you can give your opinions to. We hired these people, or you go to these people to run our community. Give them a chance to run our community.
Thanks for the much notes. Load of comments.
One more comment back there for Dan.
Now, I ran for the board too, okay? I was elected. However, I came off of being the vice president and treasurer of another community up here in Warren. We took over from Brian. Brian Builders sounds to me like what you dealt with, Leonard. Okay? They wanted their management company in here. First thing we said was no. We got rid of them immediately in 2019. We hired another company to come in to run our HOA management. They lasted for approximately about 3 months, and they thought it was too much for them. We had to make a switch. It was a friggin' nightmare. Okay. All the board has talked about is, do you extend the current contract for 30 days? It's a simple yes or no. You still can go out and get more information from other sources. In your contract, at least ours, it was both parties can cancel within 30 days, 45 days. Let's make it back. It's a lot of conversation. I left after 7 years on the board. We started with nothing. We wound up with a reserve. And we pay off our bills. But we didn't give them a chance to say, let's go for another 30 days.
You want to read the stuff online?
I want to do the online ones.
I'm going to, I'll read.
Do we have some online stuff?
We have some comments
So we'll
here, okay?
address.
I'll just go, yeah, I'll just go to the, hang on a second now. Okay, sorry, I was trying to see where it started because there was a lot of paint stuff in there as well. So basically, people are, El Riviera, people are using their credit because they're tired of throwing away money, not because of quality of food and beverage. The FSR contract dates were raised various times at the end of 2024 with concerns about the dates and reviewing other options. Why wasn't this prioritised? And now being raised as a concern that cannot be done timely. And somebody else says, here, well said. Sorry, trying to move this down, guys. You have to bear with me. What?
Use the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay, somebody's agreeing, but the management isn't great. August of 26, though, did he mean August 25? No, we didn't mean August 26. And somebody there saying 6 months extension, plenty of time, extend but with very strict KPIs. The health inspection of the plaza had serious, there's nothing else there, sorry, we didn't finish. Did I even know if FSR actually inspected the plaza area? A lot of weeds in the lower pool deck, some of them will become small trees soon. No one is tracking a ready online question, so apologies, we have to wait until there was a gap. Does the contract have some sort of renewal? Laura Stone, it's easy to say the grass is greener elsewhere, but can anyone guarantee with a high level of certainty a change will be financially in favour of this HOA? Erin Grace is saying have an interim meeting. You can schedule another meeting before the 90 days to discuss it further. Somebody saying Ron Phillips, vet other management companies now. Raymond Yun, you should have a open meeting with all our requirements for the new contract and any other managing companies that will do a better job for us. This board member is 100% correct. She is so right. We need to hold FSR accountable, and they need to remember that the homeowners are their customers and they are providing the service and not the other way around. Joe Witt, why didn't the board tell us back then we agreed to extend. Kathy owns a 1.5 year extension is too long. Laura, again, let's review. Lennar was not as good as a manager. Icon was not as good as a manager. FSR is not good as a manager. Who is good and who's willing to do the necessary due diligence to financially protect this HOA? A detailed RFP is extremely time consuming if done properly. Any volunteers out there? Scott Smith, it's disappointing that the board let this go so close to deadline without doing the proper work and let the community know at the last minute. Then somebody's saying smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely. Laura, this board to report on this matter at previous meetings. It's not the last minute. We watched the live YouTube channel recordings. The community has been informed previously. James Rich is lack of turnover due to good pay for little work or other reasons. I'm sorry. Is lack of turnover due to good pay for little work or other reasons, or is it really good management, etc.? Statements obeyed. Like previous person said, 7-hour workday, plain devil advocate. I do like the plaza staff we have now. Spot on Terry, Cheryl Mitchell, I think. FSR doesn't have a clue about managing the golf course, and that could be Ron Phillips. Scott Smith, sorry, Laura, reporting on and doing something is two different things. And then this is a back and forth with Laura and Scott, so I'm going to leave that one. The dining staff never wants to, this is to Cheryl Mitchell, I think. The dining staff never wants to work. They start cleaning over an hour before closing. They don't make anyone feel welcome. This is the majority of staff. I've watched them fight over waiting on us and as well over an hour before closing. I would love to see their training manual. And Michael Ryan, I do enjoy the plaza, wait staff, bartenders, and chef. I've never had bad service and they're always enjoyable. And that's it.
Well done.
So if we can summarize.
Yeah.
So some people think it's good. Some people think it's not so good. Some people want to keep the staff. Some people want to get rid of the staff. Some want to keep the management. So that's basically what we're at, right? Does that summarize it?
End of the world.
Right.
It's like a reissue, yeah.
So, and then I thought we had talked about that this is not, again, it seems that you all think it's being sprung on you, right? But we made a decision in the fall of 2024. We made a conscious decision. And that hasn't changed. So if you come and renew a contract in May, you're talking about the disruption of busy season, right? That date's a problem. It really is a problem. So would we like to, I guess, try to, someone said 6 months. Well, 6 months then, what do you think you're going to achieve in 6 months, right? If we eliminate the first 2 years and we are honest about 2024, put your personal bias and your hatred for some individuals aside for a minute. And if you look at what was achieved in 2024, do you legitimately think that they went backwards in 2024? Do I think 2025 will be forward or backward? I don't know. I really don't know. But I know January numbers, all right, but that's only one barometer, right? There is the whole customer service. There is, I hear you on the window, but the 7 hours, just because the window's not open 7 hours doesn't mean someone's not working in behind that window. That's for a different day, I guess. But when we look at this, we have a decision. If we don't vote and we don't agree to extend or change this automatically happens on March 2nd. So we have a choice. And that's where we're at.
I know, and I agreed in the fall that we were going to.
Why don't you take the mic for that one?
I agreed in the fall that we were going to extend, well, I wanted a year, but you said 6 to 18 months, which is fine.
It's not 18 months, it's.
Okay, whatever, 15, 16, 17 months. On the proviso that 18, 16, 17, 15 months, whatever it was, within that period, we would actively explore other options. And that's what I want in concrete.
So then you want to not amend to just not.
We're going to have to. We have to.
No, but hang on here. Then that would mean a different motion. The motion that you want is for us to actually approve an extension to August 31, 2026, which we have no contract signed. So
What was your motion?
my motion was that we do not give notice to end our contract on March 2nd. Simple. Then we're going to go and finish that negotiation. We all come back here, probably all sit in the exact same seats, right? We all come back here and then we have the conversation of this is what the contract is. We give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If we give it a thumbs down, then we're going immediately to find someone else. It's as simple and as complicated as that.
What sort of time frame are we looking at? I mean, okay, all these KPIs and all that you're working on now. So, I mean, what are we talking about?
Right, so well, we're hoping to be able to come back with something at the March board meeting. But that board, like, now could we, as Aaron Grace says, yeah, we could have a separate board meeting, right? I don't think we're done in time to have it in February, so it's not getting to March 2nd, right? And so that can't happen.
That's fine, but I just want to correct one thing you said where you said in 2024, they did the work. I haven't. No, seriously, it needs to be noted. It does. Because I don't want anybody out there thinking that they've done the work.
Okay, yeah, well, sure.
If you were living in Bella Colina, where would you be now?
I don't know, I wouldn't be sitting here worried about this.
Exactly. So you see my point. So
I understand what you're saying.
Don't sugarcoat it.
I understand what you're saying, yes.
This is a bitter pill and it's not to be sugarcoated.
Right, so then. So.
It's not for you.
It's like karaoke night.
There has to be someone that talks on the call.
Okay, sorry.
So this way everyone can hear. It's ready.
So I don't know if you all heard what Lisa was talking about. Lisa was, well, why don't you tell them?
Okay. I just wanted to notice that the 2024 numbers that James is talking about, it is not down to FSR, it is down to James. And I think we can't sugarcoat the performance that FSR have had over the last couple of years. And now our numbers are getting right and things are getting right, but it's been through an awful lot of hard work, and most of it is down to James. So as I said, we have two huge assets here that have to be managed properly. Anybody who doesn't manage their assets is in trouble. And we got the golf course, you got the golf course back up and running, it's making money, it's, okay, people give out about tee sheets and all, but at the end of the day, there's revenue coming in, and it means our HOA dues will stay similar or within a very small increase. So there's no sugarcoat. We did, and I will say, we did agree when we had the meeting that we would extend, but I agreed to that on the proviso, and purely because of the proviso, that we would use that time to explore other options. And it may be that FSR are the best people out there, but we are doing us and you a disservice by not checking. And to be perfectly honest, if you're renewing your home insurance, I'm damn sure you just don't pay the premium every year. You more than likely ring your broker and say, it's any cheaper out there. And it's no difference to this, that's all. And that's the only thing. I'm not looking to cause an issue. I tried to play nice in the sandbox, but that's exactly where I come from.
If that's nice, I'm not sure I want to see unnice.
Oh God, no, you don't.
But just the one difference there. You're the broker in this case, insurance scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Firstly, just one quick thing. I think you all agree that you're going to be looking at multiple things. I don't know that we have to have it in a motion. I agree with you that, but I think the rest of your board members agree with the premise that we're going to be doing more than just trying to renegotiate FSR. That's where I think.
So this is my motion. Are you looking to amend it?
Tell me your motion again.
We're not repeating all this, right? So I would like to make a motion to not give notice to FSR to terminate the contract on March 2nd, 2025.
Right, that's fine, because now we.
Do you want to second it?
No.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I said aye.
Oh, did you? Okay.
You see that?
Oh, I missed that one.
Didn't understand the accent.
I'm so glad we moved that one forward. Okay. Okay. So the last item on the agenda is noise abatement study. Before we get into that, I want to deal with one item that was on Facebook, right? And that is that the noise abatement study, I think some people have got hung up on the word study, okay? We are not looking to hire a third-party company to come out and do some fancy stuff. It is a lot simpler than that. And, oh, can we vote quickly? It is to have FSR do a decibel reading along our property line at the plaza at various times throughout the day, with and without entertainment and events going on. Having said that, because we do have some residents in the area, as well as other ones that are not reported, that do come to the plaza and are indicating that maybe they want something different. We just need to get an understanding of the noise level and whether or not we actually have an issue. To that end, Neil has kind of been driving this one, so it's yours.
Well, thank you. I guess just some background. This was brought to the board's attention recently in terms of potentially us breaching Osceola County noise ordinance levels. So as a result of which, I spoke to Osceola County, I spoke to the noise ordinance officer about this at length to try and understand what the regulation was, what the repercussions would be with non-compliance with those regulations. And unfortunately, the bar is set very low in this county to the extent that, you know, the noise levels are through 7 a.m. to sunset. So it's not 10 o'clock, although common practice is that they look at, the sheriff would look at 10 o'clock, but the actual regulation itself is sunset. And as I say, the noise levels from 7 a.m. through sunset are only 55 decibels, which is probably louder than less than I'm speaking at the moment. After that, after sunset, it's 45 decibels. So, you know, it's not that we're trying to restrict what's going on at the plaza in terms of events. It's more to how do we get to a stage where we're compliant with the regulations, because by being non-compliant, there are financial penalties that could be imposed upon us, ranging from $250 for the first event to $500 for repeat events. So we need to have some measures taken of those levels, which is what we've asked First Services to undertake. And then once we've got those measures and that data, we can then look at what the options are to try and resolve the issue to most people's satisfaction. I mean, I did take some findings. I did take some levels over the last couple of weeks. And sadly, it was over exceeding the levels under the ordinance requirements. That's the challenge we're going to have in terms of being compliant. And then we have to decide, well, what do we want to do then? Is there a ways we can put noise filtering barriers in place? Is there something that we can do that will enable us to reduce that impact? But again, we can't do any of that until we've got the data to make an informed decision. So that's why we've asked First Services, firstly, get the data, then we as a board can take a look at that and look at what the options are. That's all I had to say.
I think it should be noted that Debbie got the sheriff out last Friday.
I called them.
Okay, yeah.
I called them to have them come out on Friday.
And they actually reckoned that, well, they said that they wouldn't, while we were breaking the ordinance, it wasn't something that they would throw us in jail for. In actual fact, most noise ordinances aren't even looked at until after 10 p.m. at night. And I honestly think this is a nuisance complaint. I'm sorry, and if the homeowners there listening, I'm really sorry, but this is not communist Russia. You did not get a key handed to you, a house pointed to you and told you this is where you buy your house. So I feel very strongly, and again, I'm going to be so popping over, none of the board is going to talk to me tomorrow. I feel very strongly that we should continue and listen to what the majority of the homeowner says. We do need to get these numbers so that we have some sort of parameters that we have a look at. But we've been moving stuff in here because we don't want to upset people outside. But you're upsetting a lot more people by moving things in here than you are upsetting somebody who lives at the back. And at the moment, it's one homeowner. Now, as Neil said, he's had other people talk to them, but nobody else has been named. So until somebody actually comes forward and says, I have a particular issue, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't. If you don't have the balls to stand up and say it, then don't. So as I said, I'm really not going to be popular with the board, but I honestly think we really need to get this survey done. But I honestly think we don't stop using the plaza the way it was designed just for one homeowner. Sorry.
Quickly, I will say on behalf of that homeowner, there is another homeowner who has come forward to me separately. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be.
Mitch, if they have a complaint, they talk to the board, and they do it in an official manner.
Yes.
I guess just to respond in terms of, once we have the data, we'll have a more informed decision that we can make. And then we have to decide, are we going to breach the ordnance survey on a regular basis and incur the fines that are applicable?
But they said they won't. They said,
if it's reported to the ordnance survey officer rather than just calling the sheriff out, has to take action.
Okay, but the ordnance survey officer probably works normal hours. So at the end of the day, if we're out here having to use Mr. Wood or whatever who played on Friday.
But then that's taking a risk, and that's a risk that we have to assess. Do we want to be taking that risk? And if we do, then fine, we make that decision. And then we have to see whether there's any penalties payable after that.
What's changed from
this owner wrote to us. Yeah.
There's been formal complaints.
No, sorry.
You should be complaining about every single car. Because that's all pickleball.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
So that's being a little bit unrealistic.
But we're the one. We as the plaza are the ones, and as the HOA as the ones that's creating that noise. So the action is against us.
I can go right by the house and talk.
Yeah.
But then the action would be against you, not the association.
So
We as a board.
I could get fined $200 by having a conversation, walking by someone's house.
I didn't set the rules. I didn't set the rules.
I don't believe in that. I really don't.
As I said, it's set on unbelievably low in terms of the bar.
Once again, folks, just a reminder, this has not been opened up for discussion yet. So I just want to, before we move on for further discussion, I just want to make sure you guys are done. Or
what are your plans?
Our plans is to have First Services do the study, bring the data back to the board so that we can then look what the options are going to be. They're going to have to, well, we're going to have somebody in First Services take the measures at the plaza when the events are going on.
I think we look at that. I'll give First Service permission to come onto my property and sit on the back lawn.
Okay. Well, I mean, the regulation requires it to be at our property line, not your property line, but,
That's where,
I know.
There's an easement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. There seems to be some kind of bouncing effect of the noise, because when I go out there, if I stand at the bottom here I can hear the fountain.
Yeah.
Can hardly hear the music. You go outside, the fountain's gone, and the music is bouncing, noise is bouncing. It's bizarre.
Oh, Tommy.
Little wall in your backyard on HOA property. Fix it. And they won't have it muted.
Right. Go ahead.
Build the wall. Is this open for questions?
Are we open for discussion?
Yes. let's go.
Go ahead.
Just a quick question, and I'm brand new here, so I probably don't have the right to ask these questions. But based on that statute or ordinance, are you saying that in Osceola County, there's no outdoor entertainment allowed in the entire county?
I'm not saying that.
No, I mean, is that what the?
As long as it
the officer
doesn't
said?
disturb homeowners within a close proximity, then, if the people are not complaining about it, then they won't enforce it. But if people,
I think I would go back to the county and say, is there a cafe ordinance? Is there an outside entertainment provision? I'm wondering if this just fell into the homeowner provision and not the broader definition of entertainment.
I did ask that question, and they said what you can do is apply for a permit to provide outdoor entertainment, which is what other people tend to do. And that covers you for 45 days in the year. And then on top of that, you have to then apply for a noise permit as well. So that if you're going to exceed the levels which are in the ordinance, you apply for a noise permit, which allows you to exceed that noise permit for that event.
So there is a process.
There is a process.
But there must be restaurants somewhere here in this county that have regular outdoor entertainment.
I don't know if you saw the Sentinel this morning, but the Sentinel, Kissimmee, is now taking residents' complaints about noise issue with restaurants, with the clubs more seriously, and they're going to take action against it. So it's not just us, Kissimmee as well, starting to get issues with noise.
All right, well, thank you. I just wanted to ask that.
Is there something online?
Yes, we had a comment online asking the board if any entertainment needs to be relocated down to the golf club to allow the members to utilize their 900 food and beverage credit there.
So I didn't get the question.
We haven't even got that far yet. Right?
Exactly, we're just.
We're already down to moving it now. So but if that decision ever came about, then yes, we would look at that. But that's.
I think we need to be prepared for more than likely the numbers that we're going to get are going to be over the 55. So we need to have an idea. Are we going to go ahead and take it that this is a nuisance? This is a nuisance complaint and just keep it going?
Yeah, I think you need to tell.
Yes, we have a comment back here.
Well, two things. First, a question and a comment. While we're doing these studies, are we saying that from here until whenever they're done, everything's going to be located inside? Because I can tell you, coming up here Saturday, I felt bad for the guy first because people weren't up here, but it was so loud, we could not even hold a conversation inside. And it wasn't his fault. That should have been done outside, is my first question. And then my comments go along with Liesel's. There's 900 some odd homes. We're going to bow down to one person who bought next to this clubhouse. I bought here in 2017. This was just dirt, but I was told there's going to be a clubhouse here. You knew when you moved in, there's going to be a clubhouse with pools, probably parties, this and that. And this is not a retirement community. I work full time. When I come here, I want to be able to sit outside, listen to music. And if it's closed down by 10 and it's not an every night thing, I don't get why we are allowing one homeowner, maybe two, to dictate what we all want to do for enjoyment. I don't want to have to go to the golf club. I don't want to have to go to the Oasis. I want to spend my money here at the plaza.
Anything else? So the first question is, are we going to require the entertainment in the data collection phase to be outside, or are we going to?
If we don't do that, then we won't get proper readings. So we're going to have to just,
It-
it has to be as business as usual.
I agree with you.
So just so I know, business as usual.
Outside that. Do we need to propose that or?
Well,
But
You might.
Mitch, I would say that there's an opportunity to perhaps reposition
Yes, and we have done that.
the sound equipment so that the sound is traveling in different directions, and maybe that will help.
When you were here on
Yeah.
whatever night that was, we did have the yard set up
Yep.
over here.
But as we turn, hang on,
Saturday opposed to.
Yes, and so we are going to look in March how to transition back to some. Yep. We're also keeping the golf grill hours open a little longer on Friday night, so there will be opportunity to have stuff down there as well as up here.
You can't be outside.
What was that?
Is that Campbell? Campbell.
So, yes, right down there, yeah, mosquitoes.
Just to let you know, in my phone, I think there's like 8 or 9 homes on Sea Pines that the backyard's backed up to the plaza. And I'm sure there's more, but there's 4 people that I know that the noise does not bother them at all. And they want the entertainment. And just to let you guys know, when we sell homes, Sea Pines is a good road. Like, people want to live on Sea Pines because you can walk to the plaza and stumble home. People, no, it's good. There's a little value there. People like that. At the end of the day, sometimes it's a great road, and I know that half the people, I don't have them all out here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Colonel Sanders over there.
I think it's just a case of making sure we do the due diligence to show that we take this seriously, we do the data analysis, and then we look at what the options are.
Well, I think we need to have in our heads that more, 99.9% sure that this is going to come over 50 decibels, considering if I type on this computer, it's over 50 decibels. So we need to have a plan as to, are we going to stick with the majority of the homeowners and not impinge on their enjoyment in favor of one homeowner? And as I said, I can't imagine the sheriff didn't come out when we needed him in the golf club a couple of months ago. So I can't imagine that they're going to come out because somebody complains that they can hear music at 8 o'clock on a Friday evening.
Chris, can you use the mic?
Just be careful. Now that you're gonna do a study, you're gonna find out what the noise levels are. So then you can't say, well, we didn't realize it was that loud. And if the study comes back that it's loud, you're gonna be in jeopardy of noise ordinance. If you don't do the study, you can say, we didn't realize it was that.
I think it's gone beyond that, Chris. We do realise
Well, I mean, you haven't done the study yet.
I know, but I think we're aware. The complaint has been made. We're aware. We have to take some action.
All right, as long as you realize,
Yep.
the study's gonna come back, it's gonna be loud.
Oh, no.
And now what do you do?
Action could be just. That could be action.
Yeah.
Eliminate music on through the week, just keep it to Friday and Saturday, that's action.
Yeah,
So there's other means of action without actually doing the study.
study, you're gonna have it on paper.
Yeah.
Is it right? No. Don't do it, because you're gonna lose it.
well, I think that ship probably sailed the minute we recorded this meeting. You said that.
Yeah.
We have to have an idea.
The meeting's recorded.
Folks, please keep the noise level down. The board is trying to speak. Thank you.
There's some irony in that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, since it's recorded, I mean, now you spoke.
We know
But I
it's
think
going to be above. We know, because your
We assume.
dishwasher is probably louder than 50 decibels, unless you have a really nice whisper quiet one. But at the end of the day, if we're over by 10 or 15, at least we have some parameters that we can say we're only, and to be honest with you, I don't think the sheriff is going to come out first. I would be very surprised. honestly.
Yeah.
And I would like, the other thing, and here's something that I mentioned to James yesterday, how many other ordinances are there out there that we're breaking unintentionally because we don't even know they exist?
That's what you want.
Yeah, we don't want to know about them.
Exactly. Well, no, the study, the noise thing, Wendy, and really it's just to have a baseline so we know where we're at, because we know we're over. We're going to be, you and I are over at the minute, Wendy. Tomorrow night in book club, we'll be way over. Right, but the thing is, once you have a parameter, you know how far over you are on average. Because they don't have any owners that are giving out.
No one complained that we know of. We're not
They're
that.
surrounded by vacation homes.
Well, no, we go to the mass of the country club.
Oh,
Yeah, I hear the Oasis all the time. It's actually quite entertaining in the summer sometimes. Yeah.
I do want to.
Can't hear you.
Here, one of my closest friends is right here on the street. She doesn't hear it. Like, she's inside her house, she can't hear it.
Yeah.
So, what is it, they're sitting out on their lanai, and they have no one here, like they're laughing, there's music? Go inside. Come join us. Come up and have a drink with us. This is an enormous amount of wasted time. I'm sorry, it is two, let's pretend it is two. So what percent is that, 0.010 or 5? I don't know. It just seems like a lot of
Right. I think our level of concern is if, capital I, capital F, if it gets reported and if we get fined, then that $250, that goes to $500. And let's say it's twice.
I understand that the police is coming.
Yeah.
The police are in here on Fridays and Saturdays.
I know that.
I've gone in there many times. They see the noise level, they know it's above the 55 or whatever it is.
Right.
They're not saying, hey Mitch, go stop your music, it's gotta be quiet time now.
I get that. I get that.
I mean, you're having, I don't see it on, I don't see us getting in trouble or getting fined because of this. I really don't. I think it's a viewpoint.
It's not the police that issue the fine, it's the people calling the county, and the county issues the civil. So it has nothing to do with the police.
Well, that's
Civil
right on the
penalty.
door.
They have to enforce what the county asks. But that's the expense. Or a lawsuit.
I just think that our police officers have much better use of their time.
Only chip in and buy the house.
They all say.
Sound is gone.
We got it back.
All right.
We don't need to make a motion.
No,
No.
no, we're just
We're
information.
not making.
Well, we need to get these numbers ASAP.
Okay. So having said that, we will entertain getting that data and then we'll figure out where we go from there. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Because I
A
think,
motion.
Second.
oh, all in favor? Hot mic.